Well, hello everybody. Welcome to James Squared, second episode with me, James Gonzales, and James Melau here. Of course, every week we'll recap the Angels' week of games and preview the next week of Angel games. Also, news and notes along the way. Just please subscribe to Halos in the Infield on YouTube and then on Instagram, Facebook. Also, check us out on Believe for these podcasts, and then wherever you find your podcasts as well. I'll shout out James Melau here. How are you doing tonight?
Great. Excited for more Angels baseball. We started games this week, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, it's always a good feeling to see the guys back at Tempe and ready to go and working on their craft. I know we'll talk about that later. Just some notes and news, and then the record of the Angels so far. I think, 2-3. They started off Saturday the 24th in the 7-7 tie. They did make a fun comeback against the Dodgers. Ohtani did not play, if you were wondering. They had a split squad on Sunday, and they lost both of those games. Monday they got their first win against the Giants at Scottsdale, 11-9. Then home against Milwaukee, they won 6-4. And I'll have more news and notes about that game. And then Wednesday night here, they lost 3-1 to Colorado. Tomorrow, to close out February, and February seems like it just went by so fast. And thanks to Wayne for mentioning it was a leap year, so there was an extra day of February. And the Angels will finish off with the Guardians. They'll host the Guardians at 12:10 tomorrow. And then before you know it, March will be here, and then the Padres will be hosting the Angels in Peoria. Now, I know you'll be out there soon, James Melau. Talk about your past experience and then what you're looking forward to this year at spring training.
Well, I've been going pretty much since 2010. So I've been going a good chunk of time every year, and I get more excited every year that I go. And this year I'll be out there next week from the 8th to the 11th, and I'm going to go to a few games. And it's just like I was telling you on the last show, it's an overall great vibe at spring training. Everybody's so excited just to see some baseball, some actual baseball. Everyone's on the same playing field. They're just excited for the season, the start, and it's just the people are just great. Food's great, the drink is great. Everyone just has a great time. And in the Phoenix area, it's all 15 teams. I think there's 10 ballparks. There's a few teams that share ball fields. Each city has a stadium, so you can go to the respective city. You can see a major league game there. So either at a minor league complex or the cities own the stadiums there.
Mm-hmm.
But
I did notice that.
yeah, especially in Tempe, the city of Tempe owns the Angels complex. It's also the Angels minor league complex.
Mm-hmm.
So where they send injured players throughout the season to rehabilitate themselves. But spring training is great. I'm excited to go. I'll be going on the 8th, right when I fly in. Within the hour, I'll be at Angels Rockies that first Friday. Then Saturday, I'm going to head over to Mesa to see Cubs Rockies. So another Rockies game, and then Angels Padres on Sunday, and then I fly home on Monday. So
there you go.
I'm looking forward to that.
That'd be interesting because a lot of news with the Padres, a lot of news with the MLB. We'll get to it all. As the first week of games, again, we mentioned the scores. Not the scores that don't necessarily matter. It's about the progress of young players, how the older players are playing. I think you mentioned as well, Washington had them out there today for findings of playing time, and that usually doesn't happen, you said, till next week. So Wash trying to get the most out of people, just trying to get a feel of each player, no matter who they are, and seeing who can compete for a start. I'll tell you what, the first impressions I've noticed of certain players, or in this case, Ron Washington, the manager, Remember that first game on Saturday in which they tied with the Dodgers 7-7? Ron Washington did something a manager usually doesn't do unless they go change pitchers. But there was a mound visit, and he kind of settled down and then pumped up the relief pitcher Nick Jones. He was that batch of 2021 draft pitchers, and the kid's got great stuff. High 90s fastball. Well, he got him out of jam. Wash said, "Hey, trust your stuff. Throw harder." And Jones went on to get his first save of the spring on Tuesday as well. So he's been doing well in his couple of games. So Wash already motivating troops. I really like seeing that. And then also, we've seen the videos of him and Rendon working on the fielding. Backhand grabs and throws, footwork. The constant teacher that Washington is, he gravitates toward everyone and he tries to make them better. I think it's really cool to see. Zach Plesac, the Angels signed him, I want to say back in December or January, but he got his first start on Tuesday. He got a lot of work in his 2 innings, over 30 pitches. He got the win against Milwaukee. His go-to pitch, of course, is that slider. He's been working on some things, working on a sweeper that everyone has, the dreaded sweeper. If you leave it over the plate, well, that's all there is to it. It's going to go out. But he was working on that. His slider was on and off. He ran his 2-seamer in on hitters. So he's fighting to get into that rotation or maybe be a long inning reliever. We'll see how he goes. But I was wondering how Plesac would be because, remember, he's been hurt pretty much the last couple of years. He was really valuable for Cleveland, from 18 to 22. And then he struggled last season. So maybe the Angels will have a gym with him. I know he was great to be out there for him. He said that, to be out there starting was a good thing. Also, I saw some things last night. Zach Neto, he took up salsa dancing, and it's helped him with his footwork from the offseason. Yeah. A shout out to Erica West for mentioning that. They actually had some footage of him getting down as not kids say, but older people would say. Neto on that Tuesday, he did have a 2 RBI and a 1 RBI triple. So not only is he working on his footwork, he's working on his extra base hitting and running. That was great to see. Also in the offseason, Nolan Shanuel, I don't know if you noticed this, Melau, but he put on 15 pounds of muscle just like Joe Odell did. And both are hitting, fly balls. The thing that I'm worried about with Shanuel, you know how he came up, he had that on-base streak. He was taking pitches, walks. He was getting, regular base hits, singles, or whatever. I hope he does not get messed up. I hope he doesn't get thrown into the fray of just hitting fly balls, right? I want him to still be that guy, go the other way, get on base, hit. And what was funny, though, it started off spring where Wash said, "Oh, yeah, he's my leadoff guy." And now it's Mickey Moniak. And we know Moniak can be streaky. So we'll see how those two go. But Rendon, I think, will be 4th and Trout will be 3rd. So we'll see if the lineup, changes or if it stays the same for Wash. Miguel Sano, he's 30 years of age and he's trying to make the club. He lost 50 pounds in the offseason. And I noticed that right away. Man, I was like, man, that jersey looks, small on him still. But it might be the fanatic stuff we'll talk about later. So he's trying to make the team. Gio Zanija, he is a reliever, and I saw him again on that Tuesday game against Milwaukee late. He throws absolute gas. He has great location. I don't know if he'll make the roster because Jose Soriano and Ben Joyce are also going for those last bullpen spots. So, and I think you mentioned in the chat, Joyce had a little issue. I think it was in that Saturday game, right, where he gave up a grand slam, or was that Sunday?
Yeah, it was Sunday's game against the Giants, and he gave up a grand slam. He walked 3 in the same inning, and he ended up. They made him pay with a he put a fastball right down the middle, and the guy hit it out. That was a grand slam. Yeah, that thing went out fast too.
Looks like
Supplying the power.
He's fitting in just well with the Angels. I'll tell you that much.
And that bullpen. The bullpen made an appearance.
Oh, right away too. Hopefully Stevenson and others can corral that and stop that. But it's funny because you can have all the power in the world, with your pitches, but if you don't locate them well, you'll walk or you'll give up a bunch.
Right.
Ask Melau, what were your first impressions of the week? Did anybody individually stand out? I know you mentioned Martin, who was a former Dodger. He's been hitting well. Levon Soto has been hitting well. Arianza, who is a veteran but knows Washington. Yeah. Was there anybody who stood out so far? Who's hot? Who's not in this first week of spring training for the Angels?
Well, there's been a few players for me. Jason Martin is one of them. Outfielder, came over from the Dodgers last year. He played for the Dodgers briefly. He was in their minor league system in Oklahoma at AAA, but he came from the KBO in Korea before that. And he's been having he had a pretty solid year last year with the Dodgers AAA affiliate, but he's showing his tools now with the Angels, and this guy can really hit. He can also steal bases. This guy's a hit machine. Kind of reminds me of Sean Well, a little bit, or Shanuel. He's been doing really good. He was hitting like 750 up until I think yesterday. I think he's down to he's hitting 600 now, but he's been hitting the ball all over the place. So, and he's in the mix for that vast outfield we have now. We have they're going to go with 5 outfielders most likely. Ron Washington at the beginning of the season here when they break camp. But another one was Aaron Hicks, someone we haven't really talked about. Came over from the Yankees and the Orioles last year. He threw a guy out at home, and that I believe it was that Sunday game also. And that guy is an absolute cannon. Reminds me of it gives me Cole Calhoun vibes out there. And he's been clocked at Yankee Stadium at 102 to play. Local guy too, out of Long Beach Wilson High School. Got to see him play a lot when he was out here as a high schooler. But yeah, he's doing good. And the Angels are going to have a very nice problem with the outfield. We went from having no outfielders to an abundance of outfielders. It's going to be tough for the Angels to choose the last couple spots in that outfield. So Jason Martin won, then Aaron Hicks. Then I was impressed by Joyce. He was Ben Joyce was hitting 100 to 102 during Sunday's game before he gave up that grand slam. He's going to supply the power for most of these hitters, as you know.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. Just got to locate that. That's basically what it is. And I saw Kyron Paris, no longer an outfielder. He is in at I think he was playing short one day.
He's.
I can't remember. He was the guy that came up with the Angels last year. He's a shortstop.
Yeah.
Okay. Man. Okay. I was trying to remember that center fielder who came up, had a couple errors against the Rays, that doubleheader last August. I can't remember that outfielder, but I haven't seen him lately. But hopefully these young guys they get a chance to show what they got here. See what happens with that. You think that's it for your individual impressions? Okay, have you seen anything with Ron Washington? Have you noticed anything different than the other managers that we've had here before in spring training so far?
Yeah, I have. I noticed he's more hands-on with all the players, just not a handful of players. He's known as an infielder guru or an infield guru, but he's working with everybody, and he expects a lot from his players, and you're seeing that on the field now. I mean, when do you see a manager go to the mound in the middle of a spring training game? That rarely happens. They sit there. But he went out and talked to Nick Jones in the game the other day, and he wasn't doing so well. Then all of a sudden, he had a shutdown inning after that. And this is the kind of a manager that the Angels need right now. Somebody with a purpose and identity. He's trying to make an identity for this team. And you're going to see another thing that I noticed is that the Angels are stealing a lot more bases in spring training. They have like 5 to 10 stolen bases right now. And it's only game number 5.
That's what we want to see. We want to see more stolen bases. We want to see more action on get on base and get in somehow. That's all we want to see. All right,
they're taking their chances.
That's also a good thing too. I mean, if the year isn't going to go so well, if you just know it, you don't want to show it. You want to show, hey, that we're going to play at the highest level all the time, and try to take bases and take games that we're not supposed to win, according to everybody else. That's what I would hope the mentality is. If there's doubts, leave it outside the ballpark. Come to work every day and just try to win every game. Just win, baby, basically. So would that help?
And then, yeah. I was going to say, they put Francisco Mejia in to the game the other day to catch. I believe it was a Sunday game, and he had a few pass balls. And they released him the very next day after Ron Washington went out there to talk to him. And I guess he kind of blew him off in a way. So they got rid of him. I found it interesting that they released him the very next day.
Thank you for telling me that, because I wondered. He had one at bat or one hit.
Yeah.
And that was it on the stats. And if you look at certain sites, you'll see Mejia is hitting 1,000 for these Angels in spring. Just 1 for 1. So, okay, I'll mention that before we move on to the next topic. So, I don't know if you've seen the YouTube video. Maybe it's still out there. When C.J. Wilson was a reliever for Texas, I believe, before he became a starter, Ron Washington was the manager of the Rangers. And he came out to take him out of the game. And C.J. Wilson, being so young at that time, started to walk off before Washington got on the mound. And, of course, that's a no-no for a manager for that to happen. So Washington literally brought him back to the mound, up to the slab, and had him hand him the ball, and then he could leave. So Washington, hearing that just reminds me of that moment. So it shows you, hey, no BS around. We're gonna do things, the right way. Speaking of players from the past, we mentioned, about the old players pre-show, but Mark Gubicza we saw today in uniform in the dugout at Colorado spring training game. David Eckstein, Chuck Finley, Tim Salmon also was there, and Joe Saunders, which that's a name I haven't heard in a while. I still remember his start. I think the day after the Virginia Tech shooting. He had a great outing against Seattle. I was sitting right behind the Angel dugout for that against Seattle. That's when Seattle had Beltre, but he had his Hokie hat on. So I thought that was just a cool thing, just because of what happened that morning or that day. I'll always remember that about Joe Saunders, the lefty, number 51. Well, these former players are going to come help coach these young players up in Tempe, and we saw that. Remember, in September, I believe, of last year. What was it? Finley, Salmon was there, I believe, in the dugout, just checking things out. And it's always nice to get a perspective of players that have played there before, and try to maybe see what's going on and try to help out. Now, maybe I don't know if we'll see that during the season, but it's a real welcoming sight. I think we saw this last year in training camp. I believe Percival was there, Erstad was there. I want to say, Salmon had to be there. But what do you think about this? And will it help the young players there in Tempe get some, the Angel way, or what it used to be? Do you think it will help out these players, the young and the old ones?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, this is it. It's good for these young players to see these veterans, these old veterans of the past Angels legends come out, and they do this every year. But they had Gooby in uniform today, along with Tim Salmon. They had David Eckstein came out today to see the players. It's important for the younger players to see what the Angels organization's all about, the past, seeing the past players, and they can relay all the information that they learn onto these younger players. What it was like to be a playoff team, and
Yeah, I
and
forgot.
other things, and their day. Everyone's
Yeah.
quick to mention O2 because that's the only thing we have to go on now. But it's important for these players to hear stories, and to interact with these coaches, these former players that become coaches, guest coaches for the spring training games. It's just great, and I from what I hear, all these younger players just love it. They just eat it up. So
Good.
you get Gooby out there. He's all excited. He's not doing the broadcast. Terry Smith fills in for him when that happens, and he was all excited today to be out there with the guys. It keeps him kind of young too, I think. Keeps him relevant.
Definitely. The weather's better. Maybe if they're from the East Coast, they could get to Arizona and golf. Play some golf. And normally, if you're, where Mike Trout is from, the weather is still miserable out there for
Right.
a couple more months. Let's move on. Let's do some rapid fire, maybe.
Okay.
So, believe it or not, there's a couple free agents. I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but there is Matt Chapman, but just like Blake Snell, both are wanting too much money for too many years, and the production is not as well as I saw with Chapman. But he was never linked, I don't think, with the Angels because Rendon is at third, right? So Snell was linked, I think, last week to either the Yankees or the Angels, and maybe still. And JD Martinez is still out there, the DH, which I'm kind of shocked by. I thought someone would have picked him up, but a Boris client and asking for too much. The owners, the managements are still holding out for that. Do you think the Angels will get Snell or Martinez, or neither?
Well, here's my take on the whole thing. John Heyman he keeps reporting that the Angels are in on all these players, including Snell. I heard a report today, and I saw that on X that the Angels are even inquiring about Chapman now. So JD Martinez, as you know, is still out there. Now it's like Cody Bellinger was signed by the Cubs earlier this week or over the weekend for 3 years and $80 million, which the Angels could have totally done, but it turns out the Angels were never really in on Cody Bellinger. Anyway, are they still in on Snell? According to reports, they are. Are they really? We don't know. JD Martinez, again, we don't know. Because if you incorporate JD, if you sign a guy like JD Martinez, huge bat, replaces Ohtani's production a little bit, because he hits 25, 30 homers a year. But that takes away the DH away from Trout and Rendon when they need that rest because they're older now.
Yep.
Do you go after a full-time DH, or do you just let the guys naturally that need the rest, plug them in to the lineup that day if they needed some type of rest or anything like that? Snell, who knows? I've heard that the Yankees have made him another offer. He's going to get a shorter term deal now because no one's going to pay 9 years and $200 million for a pitcher, especially during spring training. He's mostly going to get a 3-year deal worth what Cody Bellinger got, this past week.
Yeah.
Somewhere around 80 or 90 million, or even a little less. Another intriguing free agent is Jordan Montgomery. Where's he going to go? Not
he
too many
won't
people.
Be an Angel.
Right. He's probably going to go back to the Rangers, or the Yankees are going to sign him again for a second tour of duty.
I heard Red Sox.
Or Red Sox, yeah.
Yeah, I heard Red
The Red
Sox
Sox are a big possibility.
because his wife was
They,
there,
yeah.
working, and he's just been working out there. So I just figured it was just
Yeah.
eventually it'll get done. Real quick,
I think,
let's talk
yeah.
about. Oh, go ahead, Malu.
I just said, well, Snell's the best fit for the Angels right now. That's as far as the Boris free agents go. But there's a lot of Angels fans out there that don't want Snell, believe it or not, because
I don't want
of his injury history, because he walks too many guys, he gives up homers, but mainly because he hasn't been able to stay healthy. That's another issue that, every free agent we pick up seems to get injured, or everybody, not just free agents, but just everyday players that we have already.
With him, I noticed, he gives up too many walks, and then he gives up too many runs. The Padre defense, luckily, the Gold Glove Padre defense last year got him out of all those jams. That's why he was the ERA leader in the National League. It wasn't really just him.
Right.
And the Angels not being so fundamentally sound like we've seen in years past, maybe that'll change. But I can't see Snell thriving in Anaheim. But if he wants to stay in the West Coast, this would probably be the only option. What tells me about this, before we get to the next topic, is okay, I think the Angels just wanted to get in on him just to make it look like they were in on people. But I don't think they really thought he was going to have this as an option to go to Anaheim. And now the Angels, if Snell wants to come, the Angels are like, oh, no. Or he's like, no, we didn't mean to get him. No. That's what I'm kind of worried about. Because it's funny, all that money that Ohtani was wanting, and then people are saying, oh, yeah, the Angels are going to spend on that. There's no way. Again, Artie's, not spending high. He's been, scarred before on that, especially on starting pitching. He's not going to spend on that. We know that. Real quick, on the Nike and Fanatics fiasco that's going on with the new uniforms, we've seen the San Diego Padres use the old pant leg uniforms because the new ones are revealing. We literally saw, two balls, but no strike on the Giants person on photo day, let's say, for the Giants. And then the jerseys are too revealing. You can see the jersey tucked in beyond the pant legs. The numbers are too small. They're all crammed together. The logo's supposed to be down below, not above the stripe on certain jerseys. The name is so small. It's all lightweight, which is fine for the players, but it's not but just doesn't look right and it doesn't feel right. And then the jersey price now for the authentic is like $374, I think, dollars. The replica is like $190 something. It just seems ridiculous. And it's just funny how, nobody really noticed it at Nike or at Fanatics. Nobody really said anything. I'm really, really shocked. You got a couple of comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, these jerseys, these pants look really cheap, and I can't believe Nike put their name on these Fanatics jerseys and passing it out as their own products. It's kind of disappointing. And I know a lot of the players don't like it. Mike Trout, believe it or not, likes these jerseys. I don't know why, but
he's a Nike guy. That's why, James.
Yeah, I can't believe Nike put their names on this, and these pants are literally see-through. You can see like everything. Maybe it's for the ladies. I don't know, but the names are smaller. If you notice on the jerseys, the names are smaller. The lettering, it's all funky. It's cheap looking. The numbers on the back and on the front. It just, I guess, I don't know. It's tacky. It's really, really tacky. And I can't believe Major League Baseball would sign off on something like this as well. But as we know, it's all about money. And right now, Fanatics has, is a cornerstone in sports apparel right now. So, yeah.
Speaking of signing off, I think we'll get out of here. We're almost at that 30-minute mark. Be sure to check in the next episode of James Squared. Be sure to follow and like and subscribe on Believe and YouTube. So everybody take care. See what happens. Go Halos.
Go Halos.